Hey everyone, welcome back to Minibike Mike's Garage. Well, you might recognize the bike I've got up on the table. It's a Honda CT90. It belongs to a longtime friend of mine by the name of Dan. If you watched the last video from just a couple days ago, Dan, myself, and a couple others, we actually rode the 100-mile route that are going to be taking tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, I'm sorry. Today's Thursday. We're going to be doing it on Saturday. Today is Thursday, April 24th. And on Saturday, April 26th, 2025, about 35 or 40 of us are going to head out, leave here from the shop, and we're going to do about right at 100 miles on small bore little mini bikes. And I needed to check the route just to make sure everything was still okay. And so a couple people joined me, and Dan rode this bike. It's new to him. He bought it a few weeks ago. He had put about 100 miles on it in the time he'd had it before we took off a couple days ago. But it runs, but it doesn't run great. He's completed the 100-mile ride, but it kind of spits and sputters, and I think it might be fuel related. Not really sure. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the first time I've ever had a bone stock CT90 up on my table. If you've watched the channel any period at all, any time at all, I don't typically mess with the 90cc stuff. They're kind of an odd duck. You know, I don't know what the points are doing up here on the head. Points are supposed to be down underneath the flywheel. I don't even know if I know how to adjust the points. I've never worked on one of these. But I told Dan if he wanted to leave it here at the shop, well, I'd screw it up bad enough that he wouldn't be able to ride it on Saturday and he'd have to ride something else. So that's what we're going to try and do. But let me bring you in, show you the bike. It's actually a pretty good looking bike. Dan got a good deal on this thing. I believe Dan said this is titled as a 1971. Now, I don't know my K numbers on CT90s. It's either a K1 or a K2. I know it's not a K0. K0 had the leading link type front end. I do know that. It does predate the turn signal bikes. This one did not come stock with the turn signals, although Honda did some funky stuff. They actually put a turn signal switch on the bike, but no turn signals. They did that on the CT70s too. On the what the K2s have a switch, but no turn signals. But she's pretty much bone stock. It looks like I can see brand new. Looks like somebody put some new buddy pegs on it, but I'm not seeing a lot of modifications to this thing. It does have have some JB Weld fix on his down tube cover, so I'll have to be really careful there. But she looks like she's running the original carburetor. It's got the high-low transmission right there. If you're not familiar with that, there's a little lever right here that you can flop the transmission from low gear to high gear, depending on what kind of terrain you're riding in. She's got the knobbies all the way around. This one looks like it's pretty new. Still got some little nubbies on it. I like the orange. The orange is kind of cool. Somebody has blinged her out with some pinstriping. That's kind of neat. I like it. What kind of mileage she got? 4,982, so it probably had somewhere 4,782 when Dan got it, I'm guessing. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about these. Just enough to get myself in trouble here. I'm pretty sure that they do not generate their own spark. I think it has to have, it's a 6-volt system, and I'm pretty sure it's got to have a charged battery for this thing to actually fire. So I'm just going to dive into this. Like I said, I think it might be fuel related, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to go through the whole thing. We're going to check the battery. We're going to kind of check compression. We're going to check the valve lash adjustment. We're going to pull the carburetor and clean it, and make sure, see if it needs cleaned. But wow, the exhaust is in good shape, not all rotted out. He's got a little tape here. Oh, he's only got one of the 3 screws. All right, we may see if we can find some screws. I like the little turn. I don't know if that was stock or somebody added that. That's kind of that little reflector. That's kind of cool. All right, enough jibber jabbering. Let's dive into it. I think he did say that at some point somebody put a tank liner in it, which, oh boy, that cap tight. Well, I think it's full of fuel from our last fuel stop. So we'll have to check fuel flow and all that. But the first thing I got to do is, well, I'm going to start with the battery on the other side. And eventually we got to take this down tube off to be able to access the carburetor. Pretty sure the battery should be behind here. All right, I'm going to need... I want to take as little off as possible. Can I get in there? I might be able to touch a lead to that. I really don't want to pull the battery if I don't have to. Can I make contact with that? Oh, 6.25 volts. It might be down a little bit. I'm not sure what a 6-volt battery is supposed to register. You know, I know a 12-volt battery actually should be 12.6 or 12.7, so it's over 6 volts. So, which is good. So that means we rode it 100 miles, so it must be charging too, or it would be. You would think it would be less than that. So that's good. So we should then have spark. Let's move up and pull the plug, and let's check the spark on it. Well, let's see what kind of shape this thing is in. I think it was starving for fuel because he had to run it with the choke on a little bit. He had to cut down on the air, so he's either not getting enough fuel or he's getting too much air, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not really sure. So I wouldn't think this to be real sooty. No, it's not. It doesn't look horrible. I mean, I've seen better, but well, I'll tell you what, well, okay, we can put it in there. Let's check, make sure the key's off so I don't shock the crap out of me if it does have good spark. Well, it's got compression. Maybe we'd like to have a little bit more than that, but obviously it was running. But it might be down with 5,000 miles. I don't know if the engine's ever been, anything's been done to it. I don't know. It's got 1 acorn head nut and 3 standard hex nuts. I don't know if there's a special orientation on those like there is on a CT70 to know if that's been a part. I'm seeing what looks like new gasket material underneath there. So this has definitely been a part, the same way underneath the intake. It's been a part. No, it's got spark. Okay. So I don't think that's particularly our issue. I might see if I can find a new plug for that. See if we've got any more of those. All right, I'm gonna take a second and well, you know what? I'm gonna let's pull these and just check the adjustment on those. You gotta have some big boy tools to work on one of these engines. These tappet covers on a CT70 are typically like a 17 millimeter wrench. These are like a 24. I only had up to a 22. Well, there's oil in it, so it was pumping oil up to the top end. That's good. So I had to gently use a 15/16 Which doesn't really fit it that well. No, I would say we're good there too. That one might be just slightly tight. This one felt pretty good. The exhaust one felt pretty good. Yeah, got a little movement in that one. I like that one. Remember to tighten that up in a second. I think maybe I'm gonna back that one off just a hair. Well, is it a 9mm like? Yes, it is. Just like a CT70. Oh boy, we don't need it backed off that far. There we go. See how far I move it when I go to tighten it up. Yep. Gently, don't strip anything. Round off the head for him. Good enough. Yeah, I think we're good on compression. All right, now I'm going to pull the cover and let's get at that carburetor. In an attempt not to get fuel everywhere, let's see if we can drain the bowl. Also test to see if his shutoff is working. Is that all that was in there? I would have thought there'd been more fuel than that in the bowl. Maybe not. I really like that orange color. It's kind of cool. All right, that all looks good. Put some new hardware here on the to mount the carburetor. Somebody's, well, like I said, they've got new gasket works, so they've definitely had it apart. All right, let's. I'm gonna get some tools. Can't quite get to the. I was just gonna drop the bowl there, but I can't quite get to that screw. So we're gonna have to take the carburetor loose. Well, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I think I'm actually going to take it loose at the intake, or at the head here. Yeah, these feel like they're decent threads. That's good. Because then I got to try and take all this rubber part. It's tough to get the carburetor off between the intake and this rubber sometimes, so I'm just going to leave the intake on it, maybe. See how that works for us. All right, let's see if we can separate these without too much issue. Don't want to tear his boot up. There we go. Okay, now, let's see. I need a JIS screwdriver. What did I thought I brought one. Oh, right here on the seat. I've never had one of these CT90 carburetors apart. You know, it's got the altitude adjustment thing on there. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm hoping that I just find a whole bunch of crud in here or something, clean a jet out, and that's all it really is. Pretty simple fix for him. Well, that looks fairly clean. Oh boy, that looks like a brand new float. Someone has been in here, haven't they? Someone's redone this thing. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna find any issues with all those. All right, let's make a mess here. Okay, so that's off. So the first notch is reserve. Okay, seem to be getting fuel out there. That worked. All right, let's shut our thing here so we don't. Yes, seem to be getting good fuel flow in on too, so that's not an issue. Can we hit it? Oh, no, we're missing it. I was really hoping that I would find something that I thought was wrong with the carburetor that might have contributed to its poor running a couple days ago, but I didn't. Carb looks actually really good. So I'm gonna slap all this back together and move to the points here. I may have to Google it to see how you adjust the points on one of these. I've never had one of those covers off before. So, all right, let me slap all this back together, and then we'll move on to something else. Well, I haven't pulled the points cover off yet. I decided to run down to my Napa to see if they just happen to have some kind of plug that was compatible with this, and they've got the exact same plug. NGK, it's a D8HA. So even though that plug was firing, it seemed like it was kind of shooting off to the side and something. I'm gonna try just changing the plug here first, and we're gonna see if we can fire it up, see what happens, and then if it still doesn't run right, then maybe we'll dig into the points, and Mike will see if he can learn something today, because like I said, I don't know anything about adjusting the points on these. All right. Let me get set up. I'm going to let it down. Let's see if it'll fire up. Key on. Give it some choke. I've got the fuel on. We don't seem to be leaking anywhere, so we're good. All right, let's see what happens here. Uh-oh. Maybe. gonna give it a minute to warm up. Might be a tad bit better, but not a lot. Oh no, wait. That's way better. Need to set the idle up just a little bit. Well, I just took the bike out for a little bit of a spin. It actually doesn't seem like it's running too bad. So I think we're going to, his speedometer is all over the place. I think I'm gonna throw one of the little GPS units speedometers that I get off of Amazon that I have on pretty much all of my bikes. I think I'm gonna throw one of those on the handlebars so I can get maybe a little more accurate. I mean, the speedometer is just all over the place and it felt like I was going faster than what it was saying. So I think I'll throw that on there and get a little bit better read, but I think maybe, fingers crossed, I think maybe we're good. I don't know. So let me get this buttoned up, get that speedometer put on there, and then we'll take it for a spin. Well, I'm not gonna say it's perfect. It probably could still use a little dialing in, but I just rode it 2.34 miles. What was that? That's the average speed of 31. We hit 44 mile an hour, so that's not too bad. That's good enough for this trip. He'll be able to keep up just fine. We're not gonna go, very few times will we be going above 40 mile an hour. So everybody, I look forward to seeing you in 2 days on, well, actually tomorrow for a lot of you for the bike night, Friday, April 25th, 2025. That's gonna start here at my shop here in Martinsville, Indiana at 5:30 or so. Guys will start rolling into town. There'll be plenty of food. If you're local, if you want to swing by, come on by and check out some bikes, and then there'll probably be video from that and from the ride on Saturday. And we'll hopefully have like 35 guys, upwards of that, maybe 40 some odd people total. So we'll see how it goes. All right, see you on the next video, guys.